The first gunshot didn't come from the forest. It came from inside the fence. 2:17 a.m. The security lights around the Dangote Cement plant in Obajana, Kogi State flickered once, then went dark. Workers inside the control room thought it was another power fault. They reached for their phones, complaining about NEPA. They had no idea that just beyond the northern gate, armed men were already moving through the shadows, silent, coordinated, angry. By sunrise, one man would be dead. By evening, the entire community would be asking the same question: who really ordered this attack? At Gate 3, near the limestone quarry, Sadiq Musa was laughing with his colleague about wedding plans. He was a CJTF member, Civilian Joint Task Force, one of the local youths trained to support security forces. Former motorcycle mechanic, trusted son of Obajana. He believed protecting the factory meant protecting his town. Then the lights died. Sadiq turned toward the darkness. His radio crackled. Static, nothingness. Yakubu, did you hear that? He whispered. No response. The gate alarm never rang. Gunfire erupted. Sharp, deliberate, close. Workers dove under heavy machinery. Phones began recording. Hands shaking. Prayers whispered in Yoruba, Igala, Hausa. By the time soldiers arrived, the attackers were gone, and Sadiq Musa was lying on the concrete. No weapons stolen, no equipment damaged. The factory wasn't looted. This wasn't robbery. This was a message. But here's what makes this terrifying. The attackers moved like people who knew the layout. They avoided the main checkpoints. They went straight for the CJTF post. They bypassed soldiers stationed just 200 meters away. How? Why did they go straight for him and not the soldiers? Could someone in authority have helped them? Because if those meant to protect us are working with those who terrorize us, who do we really trust? Hold that thought. We need to go back 3 weeks before the attack, before the death, before anyone knew that a simple roadside interception would spark a killing that would expose the rot at the heart of Kogi's security system. For years, Obajana was a quiet town. Farmers woke before dawn. Traders set up stalls along dusty roads. Artisans hammered metal in small workshops. Life moved slowly, predictably. Then the cement factory arrived and everything changed. The Dangote Cement plant wasn't just a factory, it was power. It brought jobs, new roads, security checkpoints, and political attention. Governors visited for photo ops. Senators made speeches about development. Local leaders fought over contracts and commissions. To protect that power, the government deployed soldiers, police units, and members of the Civilian Joint Task Force. Among them was Sadiq Musa. He wasn't born a fighter. He was born in a small compound in Obajana, the second of 4 children. His father sold spare parts. His mother fried akara by the roadside every morning. Sadiq learned to fix motorcycles at 16. By 22, he was running a small repair shop near the market. He had plans: save money, expand the shop, marry his girlfriend, Hawa, build a life. But life had other plans. 2 years ago, bandits attacked his uncle's farm outside Okene. They burnt the crops, stole livestock, beat his uncle so badly he couldn't walk for months. Sadiq joined the CJTF the next week. He believed protecting the factory meant protecting his town. He believed the government was on his side. He believed in doing the right thing. That belief would get him killed. 3 weeks before the attack, Sadiq and 5 other CJTF members were manning a checkpoint along the Osara Forest Corridor, a known bandit route connecting Kogi to Niger State. Around 11 p.m., a battered Peugeot truck approached. The driver looked nervous, too nervous. "Where are you coming from?" Sadiq asked. "Okene, delivering goods to Bida." At this time, "Open the back." The driver hesitated. Sadiq signaled his team. They opened the truck. Inside, fuel drums, food supplies, two injured men groaning in pain, and one terrified driver. Under questioning, the driver broke. The supplies were meant for a bandit camp hidden deep in the forest. The injured men, fighters loyal to a notorious gang leader known only as Malam Kure. Sadiq didn't hesitate. He handed them over to the military. He thought he'd done the right thing. 2 days later, word spread through Obajana like wildfire. Malam Kure's younger brother had died in military custody. No official statements, no investigation, nobody released, just silence. And in the forest along the Kogi-Niger border, silence doesn't mean peace. It means revenge is coming. If your loved one was defending your town, what would you do if betrayal came from within? Remember that question. Because what happened next would prove that sometimes the line between hero and victim is drawn by people you never see coming. The night of the attack, Sadiq was stationed at Gate 3. It was the quieter entrance, less traffic, mostly used for limestone trucks during the day. At night, it was just him, Yakubu Lawal, and the hum of distant machinery. They joked about life, about Sadiq's upcoming wedding, about Yakubu's newborn son. "You better save money, Oga," Yakubu teased. "Marriage is expensive." Sadiq laughed. "I'll manage. After next month's pay, The lights went out. Complete darkness. Sadiq reached for his flashlight. Yakubu checked the generator switch. Nothing. "Must be another power cut," Yakubu muttered. Then they heard it. Footsteps, multiple, fast. Sadiq grabbed his radio. "Control room, we have movement at gate 3. Lights are down. Do you copy?" Static. He tried again. Nothing. The gate alarm, the one that was supposed to trigger automatically if anyone approached, stayed silent. "Yakubu, something's wrong." Gunfire exploded. Not from the forest, from the shadows just beyond the fence. Muzzle flashes lit up the darkness like lightning. Sadiq dove behind a concrete barrier. Yakubu ran toward the post. Workers inside the factory heard the shots and scrambled under conveyor belts, behind metal drums, anywhere they could hide. Phones came out. Shaking hands hit record. The attackers moved with precision. They didn't fire widely. They advanced toward the CJTF posts in formation, 5, maybe 6 men, dressed in dark clothing, faces covered. They avoided the main checkpoint 200 meters away where soldiers were stationed. They didn't fire at the factory. They fired at Sadiq. He returned fire. 3 shots, 4. His hands were steady, but his mind was racing. How did they know where I'd be? How did they get past the perimeter? Then he saw something that made his blood freeze. One of the attackers gestured toward the side entrance, the same route Sadiq used every night to check the back fence. They knew. Yakubu shouted from inside the post. "Sadiq, fall back," but it was too late. A burst of gunfire. Sadiq felt the impact before the pain. His chest, his shoulder, fell. The world tilted. Sounds became muffled. The concrete was cold against his cheek. Through the haze, he saw boots. heard voices, felt someone lean over him. A voice whispered in Hausa, "You shouldn't have talked." Then they were gone. By the time soldiers arrived 7 minutes later, the attackers had vanished into the forest. No trace, no spent casings, no bodies. Just Sadiq, bleeding out on the ground. Yakubu held him, screaming for help. Workers emerged slowly, eyes wide with shock. Sadiq Musa died at 2:34 a.m., 17 minutes after the first shot, but the real shock came 2 days later. Sadiq's younger sister, Zainab Musa, received his phone from a fellow CJTF member. While going through his messages, she found something that made her hands tremble: encrypted voice notes, unknown contacts, deleted call logs, and one saved name, MK. She opened the chat. The last message, sent just hours before the attack, read: Gate 3, power outage, 2:10 a.m. You promised. Zainab's stomach dropped. Had her brother been working with the very bandits he was supposed to fight? Or was he trying to expose something bigger? She showed the messages to a local journalist, Ibrahim Sule, who'd covered security issues in Kogi for years. Ibrahim studied the phone carefully. His face went pale. "Zainab, be careful. Some truths in this country are dangerous." "What do you mean?" "This isn't just about bandits. Someone powerful wanted your brother dead." That night, Ibrahim's house in Lokoja was broken into. Nothing was stolen, only his laptop. Was Sadiq a hero or a pawn? Was he betrayed by those he trusted, or was he playing a game he couldn't win? Sadiq Musa's funeral was held on a Thursday afternoon. The sun was merciless. Dust hung in the air. Hundreds gathered: family, friends, CJTF members, factory workers, even people who'd never met him but felt the weight of his sacrifice. His mother, Hajia Amina, sat in silence. No tears, just a blank stare at the grave being dug. Her hands shook as women held her shoulders. Zainab stood beside her, trembling. She clutched Sadiq's phone in her pocket like evidence at a crime scene. The Imam's voice echoed across the cemetery. Prayers rose. Men lowered the body into the earth. But even in grief, whispers began. In the market, women spoke in hushed tones. "They say he was working with the bandits." In the mosque, elders debated. "No, he was set up. Someone wanted him gone." Parents stopped letting their children walk alone. CJTF members requested transfers. Fear spread like smoke, because if Sadiq, loyal, brave, trusted, could be killed so easily, who was safe? The government's response was swift and suspicious. Within 48 hours, the Kogi state governor held a press conference. He condemned the attack, promised justice, announced a new security partnership with private stakeholders. He didn't mention Sadiq's name. He didn't release the CCTF footage. He didn't explain how the attackers knew the security layout. But something else happened quietly, something most Nigerians never heard about. An anonymous document leaked to a WhatsApp group of journalists. It contained financial records, security contracts, shell companies, and one familiar name: Chief Abdullahi Danladi, special advisor to the Kogi State Governor on Infrastructure. The document showed payments routed through companies linked to land disputes around the cement plant. The same land where bandits operated, the same forest where Malam Kure's camp was hidden, the same corridor used by the supply truck Sadiq intercepted. Suddenly, the pieces started falling into place. This wasn't just about revenge for a dead bandit. This was about control, about who owned the land, about who profited from the factory, about silencing anyone who got too close to the truth. Sadiq hadn't died because he was a CJTF member. He died because he knew something. And someone powerful made sure he'd never tell. Security sources speaking off the record revealed something chilling. Malam Kure's group wasn't acting alone. They had political protection. Their camps were near disputed mining lands. Their fuel came from government depots. Their movements were tipped off in advance. Someone in authority was using the bandits as muscle,
evacuated their corpses.
and the Dangote
It is
factory
important to
stood
note
in
that
the way
apart from
of
the
a
fallen
very
CJTF
profitable
member, there were
arrangement.
no police
At Sadiq's
casualties
grave,
and no arms were lost.
Zainab made
This
a
is
decision. She wouldn't let her brother's death be forgotten. She wouldn't let the truth stay buried. But she also knew, in Nigeria, some truths get you killed. If those meant to protect us are compromised, who do we trust? That's the question that haunts Obajana today. That's the question Nigerians are asking in Kogi, in Niger, in every state where bandits operate with impunity while politicians smile for cameras. 1 week after the funeral, Zainab received a letter, not by mail, not by email. A stranger on a motorcycle pulled up outside her house, handed her a brown envelope, and disappeared before she could ask his name. Her hands shook as she opened it. Inside, a handwritten note. No signature, no phone number. It read, "Your brother tried to leave. They didn't let him. The truth is buried where the limestone meets the forest. Follow the old railway." Zainab stared at the words. Tried to leave? Leave what? The CJTF? A deal? A trap? She wanted answers, but she also wanted to leave. That night, military checkpoints around Obajana were doubled. Journalists covering the story were told to move on. The governor announced the new security partnership with great fanfare, and in the shadows of Kogi's forests, whispers grew louder. Because Sadiq Musa didn't die for nothing. He died knowing something that powerful people never wanted Nigerians to hear. He died because he intercepted the wrong truck, because he asked the wrong questions, because he believed the system would protect him. But here's what they don't tell you. This isn't an isolated incident. Across Nigeria, CJTF members, vigilantes, and local security volunteers are being used as pawns in political games they don't fully understand. They are sent to fight bandits who have phone numbers of government officials. They are told to protect communities while politicians profit from insecurity. And when they get too close to the truth, they're silenced. The Obajana attack wasn't just about one man. It was a warning to journalists, to whistleblowers, to anyone who thinks they can expose the alliance between power and terror. But Zainab isn't backing down. She still has Sadiq's phone, she still has the encrypted messages, and she's waiting for the right moment to release them. Because in Nigeria, the fight for truth doesn't end at the grave, it begins there. So here's the question we're left with. If a single CJTF member could be silenced so easily, who is next? If those meant to protect us are working with those who terrorize us, who do we really trust? And if the truth is buried where the limestone meets the forest, who's brave enough to dig it up? Stories like this don't end here. They echo, they spread, they force us to confront the uncomfortable reality that in Nigeria, your safety often depends on whose side you're on. We've been here before. We've seen corruption, we've seen betrayal, we've seen good people die for asking questions. But we keep watching, we keep questioning, we keep demanding answers because the moment we stop, they win. Was Sadiq Musa a hero who died protecting his community, or a trapped informant who knew too much? Drop your thoughts below.